start the today's morning session, that is on reading skills. We have with us Madam Konica Mehta. Let me give you a brief introduction about her. Let me talk about her experience first. Presently, she is working with the Regional Institute of English as personality development trainer with effect from 2014. This, what we call as RAI, Regional Institute of English, is one of the best English training centers in the northern India, I would say, and she is a faculty there. She has also worked there from 2011 to 2013 before joining as personality development trainer. And she has also worked with the Secure Line Private Limited as an assistant zonal manager from February 11 to July 11. She has worked with the Akash Institute, which is one of the premier institutions in the city, as a counselor from October 2009 to March 2010. She has also worked in a Bank of America, Gurgaon, as a team member of a text chat process from June 2008 to December 2008. About her qualifications, she is pursuing online international diploma in professional development training course with the research module from Global Training Academy with effect from March 2014. She has done her diploma in guidance and counseling from Punjab University and Masters of Business Administration in Human Resources from Punjab Technical University, and Bachelor of Commerce from Punjab University again. And senior, she has done her schooling from Sacred Heart School, which is one of the best schools in the city, I would say. And she has taken training, worked with HDFC Standard Life Insurance for the period of about 45 days. She is quite proficient in the languages of English, Hindi, and Punjabi. Her extracurricular activities involved participation in all training seminars and sessions organized by different training consultants, actively participated in all group discussions organized by the college, took active part in all seminars and presentation organized by the college. And since I know Konica Mehta ji personally quite well, let me talk to you about her personal strengths. She is excellent in communication skills herself. That is why we chose her to be one of the expert speakers with us. And we keep inviting her on our programs on communication skills. She is ready to accept the challenges. And one of the best qualities I find in her is she is very, very punctual. She was 15 minutes before in my office for this session. And whenever we have invited her for any kind of program, she's always in time. And she has a just for the learning, and she's very, very hardworking. The list is long, but let me not read out the whole list to all of you. You will know her better when you will be interacting with her on her session on reading skills. And in the afternoon, she's going to again take a session on group discussion. Now over to Madam Konica Mehta, please.
Okay, good morning everyone. That was such an elaborative, explanation, or rather, he's talked a lot about me, about my experience and everything. And I would like to thank sir for inviting me for a session. And I would like to welcome you all to the session on reading skills today itself. And hope you're having great time here. And I'll make sure that through this session, we'll be interacting, we'll be involving ourselves into different games and activities so that learning takes up practically, right? Okay? Okay, so before I start the session, I want everyone to concentrate and see the slide very carefully, because I'm going to play a video wherein you'll be doing a small eye-rolling exercise. You are sitting wherever you're sitting, please be seated there. Don't move your head, you're only allowed to move your eyes. Once the video is played, you'll be rolling your eyes with the object that's moving. It's going to be for 1 minute and 44 seconds, and we'll start the video now. Please concentrate on the slide. Okay, let's start the video in the count of 3. 3, 2, 1, start.
1 minute. Sir.
Alright, were you able to roll your eyes and move it faster than before towards the end of the video? And if yes, then you'll see that once we start doing such concentration exercises, we are able to read with the help of eyes. It rolls down fastly than before, and then we are able to concentrate on whatever we are reading. Okay, such activities are there on the net available. So whenever you try to concentrate and there is certain kind of hindrance, always try with such activities that can encourage you to concentrate more. Right? Okay, let's move further. I'll be reading out the passage that's there in front of you. I'll be reading it once, and then I'll ask one of your volunteers to read it for me, and then we'll find out what was there in the passage, right? So we'll start off with the first warm-up exercise, wherein I'll be taking up a passage. I'll read that passage for you. Please listen to it carefully, and then I'll ask you the question based on it, right? Okay, let's start. Hiking in Hawaii can be adventurous, fun, and exciting. There are trails for beginners up through expert hikers, and the beautiful weather means every day is a great day for a hike. You must check out the great vacation specials available right now in Hawaii. Come for a hike and stay a while. Now I want one of the participants to read it for me. Can anyone volunteer? Yes, from Chandigarh University. Can anyone volunteer? Yes, anyone would like to volunteer? It's a small passage. Yes, who's reading? Please raise the hand.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
The Gurpreet here.
Yes, you'll be reading the passage for us?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Please start reading. Sit down and read the passage for us. Please be comfortable.
That's okay. Hiking in Hawaii can be adventurous, fun, and exciting. There are trails for beginners up through expert hikers, and the beautiful weather means every day is a great day for a hike. You must check out the great vacation specials available right now in Hawaii. Come for a hike and stay a while.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So, what did you find out in the passage? What could you make out of the passage that the author was trying to tell us through this small passage? Yes. Yes, anyone from the Chandigarh University? Yes, what was the intent of the author here? Okay, ICT. Uh, can we have TTC Jodhpur Institute with us? Or which institute?
Yes.
Okay. Can anyone tell me what is the author trying to say here? Can anyone volunteer?
मैम फ्रॉम टीटीसी जोधपुर। मैम ये हवाई में हाइकिंग के बारे में बताना चाहते हैं कि आप किस तरीके से हाइकिंग कर सकते हैं हवाई में और एंजॉय करेंगे वहाँ पे।
Okay. Okay. Anyone else would like to try?
So it's just an advertisement.
It's an advertisement. Okay. Okay. It's an advertisement based on the entertainment in Hawaii.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Anyone from Chandigarh University would like to try? Yes. All of you can speak up.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Would you like to try? Where can you tell me? Yes.
Yes, hello, ma'am.
Yes. Yes. One.
It's about this passage is about the vacation, how they are going to visit and how they are going to enjoy.
Okay. Okay. So let's find out what the author is trying to say here. Okay. The author wants us to know about the amazing hiking experience in Hawaii. She is trying to persuade us to visit the place as she mentioned about the vacation details too, or the deals too, right? So whenever we are reading something, for example, we've read this passage, whenever we are reading something, we should be aware of what exactly the author is trying to say, or what exactly the author meant by certain lines that were written when we are reading a content, right? So basically, as you know, there are 4 types of communication. So we'll be talking about the major type, that is reading. Reading constitutes about 16% of our total communication that takes place in the form of writing, reading, speaking, and listening. We have 4 types of communication skills. So out of all those 4, reading, yes.
Excuse me, ma'am. Sorry to disturb you, but हमें ऐसा लग रहा है जैसे you are looking somewhere else. You are not looking to the camera.
Okay.
You are not getting attention from me, ma'am.
Okay, now it's fine. Is it fine now?
Ma'am, you are looking upside. Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, now it's fine.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so as we have 4 types of communication that I was talking about: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Reading constitutes to about 16% of the total communication, right? So reading plays an important role because when we talk about communication, when we talk about the other aspects, as in like speaking, listening, and writing, without the person being well read, he cannot concentrate on any other part of communication, right? If I know that a particular thing means this, or it can be read in a certain way, then only I'll be able to speak it well in a proper dialect, and then I'll be able to write it as well. When certain things mean certain, it kind of shows that it can be read in a certain form. There I'll be aware of that particular word. For instance, like if I say a word like differ, if I know that this word has to be read like differ, then I can only make this particular word as meaningful for me, right? Okay. Next is what exactly this term means. Now, reading is a complex cognitive process of decoding symbols in order to construct or derive a meaning, right? whenever we are reading something, we are actually deriving a meaning out of it, right? Without deriving a meaning out of certain thing, our reading is useless, right? For example, if I'm reading an article in newspaper, when I'm reading that article, I will make sure that I know the heading, what I am about to read about it, so that once I read the article, I'm in a position to understand that what the person was trying to convey through that message, right? Okay. The reading process requires continuous practice, development, and refinement. So if I want to exercise, I make up my mind I want to exercise daily, right? But if I do it one day and I want the result, okay, in one day I have to be like, let's say I would like to be like Deepika Padukone. I cannot do that, right? For that I need continuous practice. I want to put in lots and lots of efforts. I have to exercise daily. Then only I can be like somebody of whom I wish to. Similarly, reading is not one day practice. It has to be repeated again and again and again. So that once you are aware of the technicalities that go into reading, you are able to concentrate well. So always start with smaller goals. If I want to read, I want to be a person who's a reader. I will not take up one book and read it in one day and finish it up. I will get nothing out of it, right? So for being a good reader, you should make smaller goals and try to achieve them in totality. If I've made up my mind that I'll be taking up 2 pages today, it's fine if you do those pages and you go through that pages in depth. You should have proper, the extract should be the one that you were looking for, right? Next is reading is a fundamental part of everyday living. So, when we travel, we go through different traffic lanes, there are hoardings, there are different signs. Only if we know what each sign means, then only we can concentrate or we can turn our, vehicle accordingly. Suppose if it is written that you have to turn right after this, if I know how to read well, then only I will take the exact path where I'm heading towards, or the GPS system does the same, right? So one has to be, the presence of mind, the eye contact, if I'm reading something, I should be aware of that thing in particular, that okay, I need to follow it so that I reach my destination well on time, okay? Reading enables us to interact and understand the world around us. If I know certain things, then only I'll be able to speak, then only I'll be able to write that thing, and then if I know certain ideas, certain notions, then ultimately I'll be a good listener, because I know that particular thing will come across me, will be heading my ear, right? And it will come to me and I have to take it as a important information, right? Okay. Now, what will you do when you start reading? You will boggle your mind by simply asking few questions that I name it as W5 questions. Now, W5 question means that these questions, if you get the answer to such question, then only your effective reading will take place, right? The first question will always the first question that you will come across will always hit your mind is, why am I reading, or what am I reading? What is the content? Now, we as students, when we start reading, suppose I have examination in the coming week, and I start distributing my subject content, and I want that, okay, I want information on certain things, and I have to be sure that once I have read that, I'm aware of the certain answers I need to make up in my examination. So what exactly am I looking for the information? Suppose if there are different books, there are different subject matter that's given, I need to scrutinize what should I read, what should I take up as the important part which will help me in my examination. Okay. Next is, why am I reading? Now you have to answer this question. Your brain needs to understand, why am I choosing this particular thing to read. Suppose if I take a book, okay, the most popular book these days is the positive outlook book that's known as The Secret. Now The Secret, when I start reading that book, I should be aware, okay, I want to change my personality. I want to transform my persona into somebody who's a positive person, right? So for that, when I have the certain thing in my mind, I will definitely concentrate on whatever I am putting in my brain, right? Okay. Next is, what will be the benefit of reading? So once I have finished the book, you can, ask yourself or paraphrase those questions. Okay, what have I benefited out of it? Have I changed myself? Have I started practicing those things that are written in the book? Have I start thinking in a prospect that's a positive, outlook towards life, right? So I will be able to understand that what exactly I am, reading. Okay. Now, what information will I get from reading it? If I have a book, maybe a layman or somebody who doesn't know the book or have not heard about a particular book will not come to know its importance unless and until you know that what exactly you're looking for and will it benefit the reading part, will it benefit your purpose, then only you will be concentrating more on reading. Okay? Will it justify the purpose of my reading? Now I have several notes. One of my friends says, okay, please go through his notes, or one of the other says, okay, please go through the particular person's note. Now I need to see if I have to make a question or I have to frame an answer for a question. I need to make sure that the purpose of my reading that content has to be solved. Okay. So what are the W5 questions? Can anyone quickly answer? Okay, let's have from TTC Jodhpur. Please answer the please ask those 5 questions to yourself or to people around you. Please name the questions. Take your hand like this and start start with the first question, okay? The first question is, what am I reading? Yes, please say these questions for me in the count of 5. Lift your hand, whosoever is speaking, so that I can see you. Okay, now start with the first question like this. The first question is, yes, lift your hand to me so that I can.
First question is, what am I reading?
Yes, what am I reading? Next question is,
Next, why am I reading?
okay, why am I reading? Okay, third is,
Third, what will be the benefit of reading?
okay, fourth,
What information will I get from reading it?
okay, fifth,
Will it justify the purpose of my reading?
yes. So all these, thank you so much. All these W5 questions will answer your or will give your brain a material to search for. Okay, so you will not be caught up in a situation where you will be seeing here and there of what exactly should I go about it or how should I start reading it, right? Okay. Now take charge of your reading. What does it mean? It means that when you are reading, you will not follow the flocks of sheep. Whatever the group is reading, I will read that. Okay, whatever is there in YouTube, I will listen to it. Or whatever is there that the other person is reading for me, I will also copy that so that I get the same marks as he's copying. Okay, even he's reading that, he's getting the material, I will also take it from him. What I'll do is I'll go back to the college, I'll get the notes Xerox, and then I'll read the entire notes, and then I'll be the topper of my class. No. See for yourself what exactly you are looking for, and everyone has the ability to understand a particular word in a particular manner. So always make sure that whatever you do, whatever you read is, it's like originality should be followed. You shouldn't copy anybody else's dialect for reading for yourself. And nobody should persuade you, okay, if I've read some novel, please read it. It's nice, I loved it. Maybe you are not a comic person. Maybe you're not somebody who likes hilarious things. Maybe you like some adventurous things. So please see for yourself, know your personality, and then make a decision of what exactly you're going to read. So take charge, as in like you call, there are people after marriage, they say that the string moves from husband to wife, the wife follows whatever instructions are to be given, a wife has to give the instruction to the husband. No, but here when you're reading, you're making it sure that you're having the strings with yourself, you are reading for yourself, you know what is the material that you're reading, and it should be critical enough to satisfy the content that's required. Okay. Commit to reading goals, as I've talked earlier, that always be aware of short-term goals that need to be fulfilled. It's not required that if I've taken up a book, I need to finish it overnight. This book has to be followed, it has to be followed for the entire night. No. If I'm taking up a book, I will start with whatever particular content or particular chapter I like the most in it, and then following that, I will be reading and I will make sure that I understand what the author is trying to do. Okay? Next is plan your time and space to concentrate. Now, we students cannot sit in a canteen or mess and start reading whatever we wish to read, right? We always, similarly, we want a place where we are comfortable in reading something. We want an environment that is friendly enough for us to read, right? If we are reading something, we'll make sure that that particular thing is beneficial to us. Let's suppose if I'm reading in a restaurant, right, there is lots and lots of noise, there is people moving around, I won't be able to concentrate well, I won't be able to get the gist of whatever I'm reading. So for reading, make sure you have an environment that is friendly enough for you to read, okay, and that makes you aware of what you are trying to find out through that particular content. Okay. Capture knowledge and connect ideas. Now, we human beings, what are we? What we do is whenever we read something, we try to connect it with our experiences. Maybe in past, maybe we've got to something that has happened just now, and we relate to certain ideas. Okay. If something has been if I'm reading a book on fiction, and maybe I've come across something, okay, I'll relate to it. Okay, मेरे साथ भी ऐसा ही होता है, या ऐसा ही हुआ था कभी. So we start making those notions in our mind, right? We start related to the ideas that we've already come across. Okay. Suppose if there are certain things when we read, for example. When we read about the shopping experiences, maybe we are the one who's been a part of such an experience. So we try to relate it, okay, this has happened to me also. People of this particular store, they are like that. They give you such kind of service that you feel like going again and again. So once you're aware of certain knowledge, you try to connect it with whatever is there already situated in your brain. Long back, maybe you've come across something that has happened in connection to what you are reading now. Right? Okay. Know how to read a primary information and secondary. I hope you all know what is primary information or secondary information. Primary is the original information that somebody has talked about or written, whereas secondary is just a summary of it or a conclusion of it. Right? Primary is one has talked about in the first book. He has talked about it in originality. Suppose if I have been into an event and I'm asked to give a report on it, that would be the first-hand information because I have experienced it and I'm sharing it with everybody. Similarly, if somebody has to know what exactly happened in that event, he will simply read the summary of that event and will make out that, okay, certain thing has happened in particular event. Okay? Preview and review. Please try to make it a habit to again and again go through whatever you've read once. Keep on reading it again and again. Keep on practicing it till the time you are aware or you are satisfied with the content. Okay, this has given me lots of satisfaction. It has made my, whatever I was looking for, I've got it through this content. Okay. Now, reading goals. Now, they are not to be made like any exercise, schedule. Okay, I make it today, but tomorrow it has rained, and I have not gone for the exercise today because it was raining outside. So, to reading goals, once you've made a goal to read, to start reading, you will make sure no matter what happens, those 15 minutes were to be devoted to particular or 10 minutes, whatever you've decided, you will make sure that you keep that in practice. Okay. So that over and over days, you are in a position to read well, you are in a position to concentrate. Okay. Stay positive. Reading can be enjoyable. Now, if I've come across something Maybe something has happened in my, routine day, and maybe I am in the mood of not, I'm not in a good mood, and I start my reading today. I start preparing for my examination, but the thing is that I'm not in a good mood. I will put that notion into my reading. Okay, this reading will not help me. I won't be able to answer this question. No. Whenever you're reading, make sure you're relaxed enough. You are ready to read. So make yourself ready to read so that when you have started reading, you are paying attention to whatever you're coming across. Okay? Make the author your companion. Now see, whenever we are two friends sitting, we're sitting and we are doing something, we kind of make each other's presence from, we respect each other's presence there. So we try to make each other comfortable. So similarly, when you take up a book or you've taken up some notes, make sure that this is something that I was looking for and this will benefit me. So make your author your companion. Then only you will be enjoying the experience of reading. Okay? Pace yourself accordingly to the difficulty level. Now, if I'm a person who can only sit for 5 minutes, then don't force yourself to sit for 15 minutes. If you can concentrate only for 5 to 10 minutes, make sure whatever you read in those 5-10 minutes will always remain in your brain, will always be there with you. And more than that, if you stretch your time towards something that is beyond your tolerance, then that would be only for the sake of reading or showing your parents, okay, I'm studying. See, I've opened the book, I'm studying, and it's been the whole night I'm studying, I'm paying attention to the notes and I'm paying attention to whatever I'm reading. And if, somebody will come across and see that what am I doing, he'll find me reading. Like there's an advertisement last, I don't know which, it was Hype or some other, WeChat or something. There, the parents were, were of the notion, okay, that my kid is studying because there is no update from the past 5 minutes. But actually, the kid was partying at his place. So you are not reading for anybody else. You're reading for yourself. So make sure if you can do it for 5-10 minutes. Do it for 5-10 minutes only. Right? Okay. Now you have to take breaks. You cannot stretch yourself for hours to read. You cannot simply read on and on. You have to take break after every duration where you feel, okay, now that's enough, I've read, now I need a break. Okay, now take a break and then start fresh so that whatever you grasp after that, you'll be able to retain it in your brain, right? If you are reading something and you find it confusing, or maybe the language, we have different books written by different authors. Sometimes for some people, it is difficult to understand the British accent, or it is difficult to understand the authors that use different kind of heavy vocabulary, or the words that are beyond one's understanding for the person who has just started reading. So make sure you find something easy for yourself. You start reading it, and then you should always keep a dictionary handy, so that whatever you come across, the important word or whatever you come across, some word that you don't know about, you can find out the meaning there and then, right? When studying for a test, skim reading for key points and terms. Now, if I have a day before my examination, I will not go on reading the entire book. What will I do is, like others do, they make key points, they make short-term, they put it in liners, or they use highlighters to read what was the important part, and then they pay attention on those key points so that they can elaborate that later on when they are giving their examination. Okay? Make understanding of the material of prime importance. Now, I know if I have somebody has given me a book to read and there are 250 pages, I know that 250 pages will, I don't have to go through all those 250 pages. There would be certain things that I would be following. There are certain things that I will be paying attention on. So I will concentrate more on those content that is important for me, rather than just simply moving through or flipping up the pages and reading the entire book, right? Now plan time and space to concentrate. Now people says library is a good place to read, but primarily I am of the I believe rather that when we read loud, when we read out loud, we involve all the senses together. When we involve our eyes, our mouth, and our ear, there we are able to retain whatever information we are reading, right? Suppose if I am reading it loud, I will be able to kind of explain it to myself. Okay, this was the thing I've read it, and it has to be there in my brain forever, right? That happens in the classroom as well. Like we being teachers, we kind of read out things loud, so the students, when they pay attention through their eyes and they are able to grasp through their ear, they kind of retain the information for a longer duration. Okay. College reading takes a great deal of concentration. Find an environment in which you can concentrate best. Now, sit wherever you feel like, maybe a garden or maybe a place where it's comfortable for you to pay attention to whatever you are reading. So once you pay attention to whatever you're reading, you will be able to retain that valuable information forever, right? Maybe it has happened with most of us. Whatever we feel that's important, and whenever we chose the right place to read, we kind of retain it for a longer duration, right? And then if we must read in a noisy place, now I don't have any option. I have to read in a place which is noisy, which is kind of full of hassle. So what I can do is I can use the headphones, I can play the soothing music, and I can start reading with the help of music, so that I can gradually concentrate on my work. Like it happens, we go to barista and cafe coffee day for reading our novels, or we read whatever we are supposed to read for some important event. So we go to certain places where we can pay attention in a noisy place, where we use certain headphones or certain other gadgets to keep ourselves updated, to keep ourselves concentrated in whatever we are reading. Okay. Now there has to be time where you can read with full attention. See, I cannot read at late hours when I'm sleeping. I have to decide what time is the best time where I can pay attention, where I'm not disturbed, where I'm not interrupted by anybody, where I find time for myself. Reading time is the time for yourself. There you have to make sure that whatever you are taking in the information, that remains for longer. Okay. Now, how will you read a primary or a secondary information? Primary information, as I've told you, is in original form. So it could be any autobiographies, it could be any speeches, it could be any research report, it could be any government document or a scholarly article. Now, whenever you're reading such things, you know that the person has got this information for you, and this information is of prime importance. So whenever you're reading such a thing, make sure you're paying attention to each and every word that's written, so that you don't miss the actual content that the person was trying to convey, or the message that he was trying to put forward. Suppose there was a news article that I was reading, and it talked about something which was related to the shopping experience these days. Now there it was written that people nowadays have stopped looking for different options, because they've already done it when they were sitting back home through internet. They have seen it through different websites that are there on internet. They have seen the options, they have seen the sizes and everything. They simply go and they ask for certain colors, so that they're aware that that particular color is available or not, right? So there, the experience that he was trying to put forward was that, okay, people have now stopped wasting time in finding out different options. They've already done it when they were sitting back home. Rather, the message which he wanted to convey was that, okay, now people have been like smart shoppers. They have the knowledge of what actually they are looking for. So sometimes when you're reading such messages, please understand what the author wants to convey, rather than putting your notion in between and taking it your way, right? Okay, secondary information. When somebody has given you an information, there are people who summarize it for you. There are people who make conclusions about it. So make sure that summary should match the content that has been talked about earlier. Way to do that is whenever you're reading, you're coming across certain words which are new and you've not heard them before. Make sure you have a small, kind of notebook where you start writing those words and then find the meaning there and then from the dictionary, so that later on when you are speaking to someone, you're communicating with someone, you use those words to make your, whenever you're talking, so that the other person should realize, okay, he's well read, he knows different words, he knows words, how to use words, he knows, okay, what particular word means. So this gives you confidence, and this, it makes the other person listen to you well, right? Now, if you're not aware of certain things, make sure you jot down those things and later on find out a meaning to it. Now, when you find out that meaning, you are in a place where you're clear enough that, okay, this was the thing that the person was talking about. Okay. Analyze the words around to form the meaning. Sometimes, what happens, like we've always heard, a word for different words, there are words that give you that particular meaning of a word. Those words are surrounding words. Now, those words tell you what the author is trying to convey through that particular word, which he has used in that particular book, right? Whenever you've gone through different words, whenever you've learned different words, make sure you use them in practical life. You use them daily. If I've come across a word like, suppose if it's a word like kindle. Kindle is a word to ignite, right? To spark yourself to do something, right? So if I know the meaning of that word and I know where it has to be placed, I will use such word so that I'm confident enough in speaking whatever I've come across. Okay. Now, this is what a reader's glossary should look like. It should be aware that, okay, one, if you're reading something, it should have a cause and effect relationship, right? Something causes something to happen. That we as human beings come across so many things that happens because of the result of something that has already happened earlier, right? So there's a cause and effect relationship. Then there is a compare and contrast. Now, some things you look, when you look into a reading dialect, when you come across something, there are things that are familiar and there are things that are different. So you should pay attention to what you know, and if you don't know something, make sure you find a meaning to it, right? Draw a conclusion. Now, as human beings, we are in a we are in a habit of deriving conclusion out of whatever we read, rather than just simply reading what's there in the summary of that book or whatever the author has talked about. So we try to make our own conclusions out of whatever we come across. So always make sure that whatever you've drawn as a conclusion should match with the author's summary as well. Now, clues. There are words, as I've talked about it, there are surrounding words that give you the meaning of the difficult words that has been used by the author. So make sure you are practicing those words, you are framing those words to know what that important word meant was, right? Implied. There is kind of an implied, it is like something has to be said in a certain way. It is already said by the dialect of the author. We need to just simply see that, okay, this particular suggestion has been given by the author and it should be like that. Now, there is also a kind of guessing work or speculation work, which we call as inference out of what we are reading. Maybe, okay, I start reading something and I draw conclusion out of, oh, this book is about this. This book is about the person might have experienced such things when he might have might have started writing, right? So we kind of put our notion into what we have started reading as a book. Now, there is a primary message in the book. There is a main idea around which the whole book revolves. If I'm reading about numerous things, I know that the entire content in the book will be related to something which is hilarious, right? Objectivity. Now, objectivity is something that doesn't belong to somebody's prejudice. Now, if I'm writing something, I should keep my mind open. I should keep my writing such that it should show that it is for the people. It's not my own personal bias that I've written this book, right? What prior knowledge you have whenever you take up some book, you make a choice of book. Whenever you come across different books that are there in library, you choose one to read. Why you do that? Because you know that you connect well with it, you know something about it, and you want to enhance your knowledge about it. So with the prior knowledge, you are able to relate to whatever you've already read or whatever knowledge you already have. Okay. Now there are certain things that support that idea. There are supporting things also. Now everything has a supporting. Now if I'm attending a lecture, okay, I have certain notions in my mind, but maybe if the teacher talks about something that supports my notion, I will always grasp that. I will make a note of it. Okay, this was something I can add to what I already knew, right? Now there are different kinds of reading. We all do certain kind of reading, but primarily we read for these major kind of headings. You know, we come across such readings as in like for the purpose of comprehending. Why do we read? We want to comprehend well. Okay, if I'm a well-read person, I will be able to speak well. I'll be able to write well. I will be a good communicator. My skill will automatically develop. So let's find out the kinds of reading. The first one is extensive reading. Extensive is for the pleasure of reading. Now, when you started reading and wherein you find things that are more, the supplements of the newspaper. Why don't we pick up the main newspaper first and then read it? What we do is we gradually take the supplement first and then we read the main newspaper. We all do that. Why? Because the supplement has more information about the requirements, about it. It can satisfy the appetite of a reader by making us aware of different shopping, exhibitions. It can make us aware of different events. It can make us aware of different advertisements. It can make us aware of different discounts that are happening in the city or the trends that are there for the summer or the coming season. So we gradually pick up a supplement before we read the main newspaper. Okay. So extensive reading is reading for pleasure. Any topic of interest. Main purpose is to relax and enjoy yourself, like comics, humorous stories, tales, short newspaper articles, jokes, and other forms of light reading material. Okay? Now there is also an intensive reading, careful or in-depth reading. Now why do we do that? Suppose if I know a particular topic and I want an in-depth clarification on that topic. What I'll do it, I'll read word and word of it. Because I want to know more about it. Like it happened in the various promises that were made by the Prime Minister. Now Modi was something, he was there in limelight for a longer period. He is even through his activity which he's doing, he's there in the limelight. So we want more and more information of what now after being a Prime Minister, what all he's doing for our country. So we are aware of different, kind of schemes he's coming with. He's coming with Beti Bachao or certain kind of schemes that, that he's building for to avoid such female feticides and such evils that are there in the society. So we want more information on it. So what we'll do is we'll take up the article, we read it in detail so that we don't miss what he's coming up with, right? Now, intensive reading has to be done in proper format. Now there has to be steps that needs to be followed when we are doing an intensive reading. Now the first thing that we're going to do is scanning. When we scan, how does a scanner work? It scans some information, it shows on the screen. Similarly, when you start reading, you should know what are the keywords of which you need to make sure those keywords will give you the relevant information you are looking for. It doesn't miss on what the questions had to be answered, like what am I reading? Who is the author? where am I reading, when am I supposed to read that, and how will it help me? So it should answer all these questions when I've started my intensive reading. Okay? Looking for a word meaning in the dictionary, getting a document from a filing cabinet, looking through the yellow pages, all these requires intensive reading, wherein with the help of the keywords you can make out, okay, this is the information I'm looking for. Okay? Now next comes skimming. Skimming is you go through the title, you go through the headings, you go through the topic sentences, the signpost, the main idea. And then after that in steps you start reading. Once you know that okay, this is the information I was looking for, or maybe I'm giving my exam tomorrow, so I've taken 10-year papers and I want the answers to the 5 questions that have been repeated all through the years. So I know I'm looking for the answers of that question. Now, what I do is I quickly mark the question answer, I quickly mark the headings, I'll highlight them, and then one or the other I'll practice them. Right? Okay.
And skimming can also be useful for example, if you are selecting a book in a library
Yes.
or in a bookstore,
Yes.
then at that time skimming helps.
Yes, as sir very well said, that skimming can also help us in choosing the book in a library. Whenever we are finding a book, yes, whenever we are finding a book in a library, it can help us what book we are looking for, so that we are aware, okay, this particular book will benefit me for the purpose I'm looking it for. Okay. Now, how does it go? The skimming process. Preview the text by reading the title and the introduction. Now, text has to be previewed how? By reading the title. If I'm reading a book, I should be aware of all the chapters that are there. Now I have to pay attention, okay, which chapter will benefit me for the purpose I am reading it. So always keep in mind that my brain should know what am I looking for through that book, through that material, or through that content, right? Check if there are headings and subheadings. As I told you that it is always good to carry a highlighter or a pencil by which you can mark what is important and what you're going to read in the coming pages. Read the first paragraph and the first sentence of the succeeding paragraph. Now what we do is, there were examination papers that were there of students who wrote the first heading and the first line from the book. Rest information was their own. They constructed the information from whatever they thought could have filled in the pages. That could give them more marks. Maybe by seeing that the pages were covered in the examination, the teacher would give them full marks. No, it is like the heading and the first line is such that it's there to make sure that you have started whatever you've read, you've paid attention to it, and you've started the question or attempting the question well, so that whenever the person starts reading, he gets an idea, okay, this is the thing that the person is talking about. Okay. Again, check the keywords. Keywords are something that has been highlighted, something that has been, underlined, something that has been importantly marked, so that you pay attention to those words to give a meaning to whatever you are reading. Okay. Next, read the last paragraph. Usually, it summarizes the main points. Now, summary. Before taking up a book, what we do is we check the summary of the book, or the summary given by the author. Okay, if we find it interesting, we pick that book. If we find it, okay, it's not that relevant, or I don't find it interesting, I'm not going to read this book. So it is, that helps you make, you kind of make your decision by reading the summary, okay, this is something interesting and I should go about it. I should read it, right? And then if you feel that a paragraph contains important information that answers what, why, when, how, and who, read it fully. You should always pay attention to certain information. Okay? Next is exploratory reading. Now, reading fairly, the whole presentation of idea, how to make a whole selection. For example, there are articles in magazines. Suppose if I have an article of healthy living, I want to know how can I make my living healthy. I will read every line, I will read every point which is mentioned there, to be aware, okay, what is the practice that I can take up for living healthy in today's world, which is full of pollution, which is full of things that keeps me unwell most of the time, right? So it has to again justify the purpose that I should be aware of what will give me the exact information of whatever I'm looking for. Okay. Next is critical reading. Critical reading is like, there are critics for the news, for the movies. You've heard the critics talking about the movies reviews. Similarly, in the reading process also, there are kind of reading that involves your complete or entire, you need to pay attention of whatever you are reading. Word to word, you should be aware of, okay, this was the content, this was the idea of the person who's talking about. So question, analyze and evaluate the text using critical thinking skills to differentiate between fact and opinion. You should be aware of, okay, this has been put forward as a fact and this is an opinion given by somebody. So this will give me factual information, this will give me a general information, okay? Recognize author's purpose in writing. Now you should know the purpose of the author. If he's given certain information, make sure he's solving your purpose and the information should match the content that's given, right? Make inferences about purpose and characteristics. Now you have to give your, your mind doesn't stop when you read. It actually start working. So make your mind work a lot. Make your mind understand that, okay, this was the thing that's there. Please try to relate it with whatever information you have. Recognize the author's tone in writing. Now, tone and pitch is very important in communication. Maybe he's trying to emphasize on certain information, and at the same time, he's trying to ease certain information. So, your tone, your tonality matters a lot when you are communicating in any forms of communication. Recognize persuasive techniques or propaganda designed to sway you to believe. Now, you should pay attention to the facts that are given, and you should believe in whatever you're reading. Okay, if I've chosen this to read, I will get what I want. Okay, because I've made this choice. It is primarily my choice that I've taken up this book or this topic to be read. Okay. Next, analytical reading. Analytical reading is carefully paying attention to whatever word you read. Each word has to be paid attention to. It's like analyzing. You're using a microscope with your bare eyes. You're using a microscope to find out, okay, this was the information I want to know, and this will only benefit me by putting my making my all senses work together, so that I'm able to pay attention on particular information that's there. For example, if I'm reading a mathematical problem, or I'm going through the scientific formulas or certain definitive statements of key ideas like questioning or inquisitive mind. If I'm reading out somebody's questions, if I'm reading out somebody's information, if I'm reading out somebody's statement about something, so I have to pay attention on what the person is actually conveying, what is the message that has been put forward. Okay. Now, points to remember for effective reading. Now, I want everyone to raise their hand. The right hand to be, I want everybody's right hand to, please raise your right hand so that we can practice something for reading, right? Okay. Everybody, please, I would like to see everybody's hand. The right hand. I hope everybody knows which is the right hand. Yes, right hand. Can you see it? Yes. Okay. Now, whatever I'll be saying, you'll be taking that as a finger method. Whenever I'll be saying a point, you'll put your finger down like this. So all those 5 things has to be done twice, right? Okay, let's do it together. Even I'll be doing it with you. Okay, let's do it. Yes, please start doing it with me. The first thing, get the book that's easy to read. Please put your first finger down. Get the book that's easy to read. And repeat after me. Get the book that's easy to read. Yes, please repeat after me. I can hear you. Get the book that's easy to read. Okay, get a timer, set it for 15 minutes. Okay, read as fast as you can. Means that you will follow your finger when you are reading. You know, we do it like this. We start reading. We use our pen or pencil if we have, or we simply use our finger to read. So you'll use your finger method to do that. Close the book, count the pages read. Close the book, count the pages read. Once you've read some book or you've read certain pages, please count them, that whatever pages you read, right? Paraphrase out loud what you read. Paraphrase out loud what you read. Okay, keep your hands down. What do you mean by paraphrasing is, whatever you've read, please make sure you are able to make yourself understand, okay, I've read this. Or maybe you can ask one of your friends to accompany you and you can explain certain thing to him for your clarification. No doubt that you will be helping your friend in doing so, but at the same time you will clarify those thoughts to yourself. For example, if we are doing, you know, there is a group study that happens and we have a group that's studying together. So what you can do is you can take a mediator out of it. You can ask somebody, please, can you explain it to us if you've got it? Okay, that person can read out or can explain it to the other person. So by paraphrasing, he'll himself understand it better. At the same time, he'll be able to make the other person understand that, okay, this was there in the subject matter. Okay? So you'll have to repeat it again and again. Please do this activity whenever you start reading something. Again, repeating is important. Okay? Now, 10 tips to improve your reading comprehension. How will you improve your reading comprehension? Always keep a pen or pencil handy. Now, keeping a pen or pencil handy means that whenever you start reading, suppose this is a book, I'm carrying this book with me and I want to read it. So I should have a pen or pencil or a highlighter so that whenever I'm reading certain thing, I will mark the important information so that I don't have to read it again and again. So once I've done that, once I've finished the book, I can go through the important things that were there in the book. Okay? Second would be, read the whole paragraph before highlighting or underlining a statement. Now, keeping a pen doesn't mean that you will simply go on marking each and every information you find it interesting. You will first read the entire passage and then you will mark or highlight what is important. You will not simply mark it for the sake of, okay, I've read it, I'll mark it. That means I've finished it. No. You will mark only the important information that is there in the entire paragraph. So make it a habit to read the entire thing first and then underlining or highlighting. Right? Engage your senses by reading out loud. Like I've talked about it earlier also. Please read it loudly so that you're paying attention yourself to what you're reading. You're making the use of your ear, you're making the use of your eyes, you're making the use of your mouth. When all the senses are involved, you will be in a position to retain it well. Okay? Mark a check on the margins of what is important while reading. Now, check means putting a tick across what you've come across. Okay, this is a subject or this is a topic and this is like the material that's given. I need to mark what is important for me. I don't have to read the entire thing. I don't have to read it again and again. Okay, only the important information has to be read. Okay? Explain what you read. Now explain it to yourself. Explain it to your friends. Explain it to your colleagues. Okay, or involve in this discussion. Okay, maybe you've come across something which is interesting. Whenever you have spare time, sit among your friends, sit among your colleagues, and try discussing it so that you have different ideas about that particular information that you've come across. Okay, that makes you well read. At the same time, that gives you more knowledge. Pay attention to the table of content in order to make a choice of things to be read. Now, table of content, we all know, we make indexes whenever we submit our practical files. You know, so whenever we make an index or whenever we form a table of content, we should keep in mind that, okay, I'm looking for such things and these topics or these headings will benefit me in that notion. Okay? Pay attention to the summary words like therefore, as a result, or conclusion. Summary words, you know, at the end I would like to say, or lastly, I would like to conclude by, or as a result of it, I'm putting a conclusion forward that okay, I've come across certain things. So that gives you idea of the major content that was there to be read. Now, use highlighters or underline or circle key phrases in a book. Now, I hope you know phrases. Phrases are when you use certain words, but they don't give you the complete meaning, right? You should mark those phrases to understand, okay, this was there, which was important, and I need to make sure whenever I read this book again, I need to make sure that only this part was there to be read, which is important and which will solve my purpose, right? Mark words that you don't know and enhance your vocabulary. Of course, when you're reading, there would be certain words that you don't know. There would be words that you'll come across, which is like, you need to find out the meaning of it. So always keep your dictionary handy and make sure you understand the word you come across, right? Learn and revise the ways to read effectively. Now, if I'm following a certain technique, maybe after 2 or 3 years, that technique might have faded away. There would have been different tips that would have been coming up to enhance your reading, capabilities. So you should always be aware of the new technicalities that are coming. You should be aware of the researches that have been done to enhance your reading, to enhance your skills altogether, so that whenever you start reading for yourself, you enjoy that reading. It is not primarily for the purpose of reading certain text, right? Okay? Okay. Now, before I play this video that's coming up later, I would like all of you to pay attention on one thing, that whenever we do certain exercises on reading, or whenever we take this part of reading, we have to keep our minds open, because whenever we come to somebody's idea, we come across to somebody's idea, it is our brain who helps us adapt or retain that information. So reading is an art. It has to be practiced again and again, and everybody is a reader, primarily because of the reason that we have to put the information into our brains so that it helps us in the later period of our life. Okay. Any questions